All right, guys, I'm gonna start now.
Director of Gala FC and the Steelheads program. And tonight today I have a guest, a long-time friend of mine, a great coach, one of my favorite coaches around in Washington, ANDREI. Please introduce yourself, ANDREI.
Hello, ANDREI ZAHAJKO. Pleasure to be with everybody today. Good friend of Daji.
Yeah, he's a really good friend and very good soccer mind. ANDREI is very similar to how I coach. He's very passionate. He's always giving his passion to the players, and players feel like they need to pick up their intensity when they're being coached by ANDREI. And we actually had a lot of players that we coached together. We worked together before. And can you tell them how we met, ANDREI?
Yeah, we met, I think it was in 2007, 2005, around there, 6.
Yeah.
And it was the high school championships down in Gala. You were with Cascade, I was with Inglemoor. And I think it was at semifinals.
Yeah, I remember
so that was the first time.
You were one of the only coaches that, at the time I was just coming, I was a young coach, very passionate, and I thought that this guy is interesting because we had an intense game against each other, and a coach comes after the game and he was actually very complimentary about our set plays. And then we end up working the next year together in the same high school program with Glacier Peak. That was awesome. But I thought that he was such an open-minded guy to say something positive after a game about another coach. ANDREI definitely a high-level coach with that mindset, always wanting to improve as a coach, just like I am. I think that was very impressive. So I don't know if you remember that chat after.
Oh, I do, man. It's just like it's one of those sayings they say, game recognized game.
Yeah.
And you always want to respect, even when you're coaching in battle, have respect for the person that you're coaching alongside with. If what the stuff he's saying is good and valid for the players and for the competition, but have respect in the game. Don't disrespect the other coach if you don't need to. And so it's a battle. And during those 90 minutes, 70 minutes, 80 minutes, 120 minutes, you got to go hard. And you leave it there. And there should be respect during the game and after the game.
I agree 100%. And one of the things that I was going to talk about today is the attacking principles. A couple things for me is obviously I'm a first, defense comes first for me, as you know. Like the moment that we lose the ball, we come back compact as a team. I keep it very deep defensive line as a team. So my attacking principles obviously is a good counterattack. So my principle is when we are opening the game, we catch them off guard. Where I tell my players, just like a magician, you show in one hand what you want them to see, but you're doing something else with your other hand. So when we are building a play from right side, we're actually getting ready from the left side because something is going to happen in the counterattack. So my perspective always is also stay in the vision. I have a completely different language. So that was one of the things that I did the licensing. People are like, oh, what does he mean by that? But my players now know, right? So one of the things I say to my players, stay in the vision of the ball. So like when it's number 10, number 8 gets the ball, he's trying to dribble into the right side, stay in his vision, like move with that player who has the ball. And I also say a weird language too. I say, what does the ball see? Like what I mean by that is what does the ball with, the player who has the ball see? Because sometimes people make some runs that they're not even going to get. They're not logical runs, right? And so I always tell them to stay in that, and I want to make sure that we can build up a good counterattack. And if we can put the ball in that house, and then of course my attacking principles kind of start changing. It's not counterattack anymore. I put the game on their half, and I want to make sure that we press high, we don't let them get out, and we are very creative and quick about our decisions. if you have a number 10 role, obviously I want them to be the creative players to be able to make some different decisions. But my outside players and my number 6, my defenders, I want them to make quicker decisions and move the ball faster generally. But like I said, it changes the moment we lock them in their half. I want to possess the ball and don't lose the ball so easily. So we kind of change the game plan with the way we attack. You know what I mean? I just wanted your opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, you play sometimes different style. I've seen you play very similar to mine. Depends on the players you have. What is your general attacking principles for you?
My general attacking principles is possession, and sometimes it can change from game to game depending on who you go up against. But the base I think has to be the same, where you attack with 5 or 6. You're always looking to stay as high as possible. Have your two strikers play as high as possible. Keep them central. Have them play close together. And as the 10s, I really like to have distributors, guys that want to knock the ball, guys that want to get the ball from the middle, get it wide. You know that they're going to, have them understand they're going to get it back, but they have to want to really release that ball. Obviously, when they have the opportunity for the 1v1, they can take it, but them knowing that they're going to have the ball most of the time, they also have to want to get rid of it and to get everybody else involved. Yeah. So, you really have to, go through and do some psychology on the players, find out which ones can fit, for your game plan for the season. You definitely want to have some players that can play different positions too, because, some days your forward might not have the touch. He might not be on, but he's a strong player, might not have it. You know what? Let me put you in the back. You can attack through the flanks, and we'll find a different way to have you play. So I think that's a big part, and still, just really shape that team and have them play together. And really not just have it one player where you just focus on getting into the one player. Get everybody else involved, because you're going to need all those guys through the course of the season.
It becomes predictable if you just count on one guy.
Right. And then how are you going to build the confidence of the other players?
Exactly.
How they're going to, feel like they can, contribute, So, it takes time, you have to, in this, during the tournaments in the early season, you're kind of looking for your formula, but you never stop looking for it, and like you said, you may start a certain way where, you drop back a little bit and then look for the counter. And then later on, you look to press them in their half. So just like you keep an open mind on how we're going to approach this and how in the game, I'm going to show one thing, but we're going to, have something else ready to go.
Exactly.
Always.
Yeah.
And, again, with the passion of the players, when you have to coach them up, you're going to have those players that maybe they have a strong household. Maybe they have that parent that used to play a sport, or that, he maybe he's a former military, where you can, in that moment, coach him up. In that moment. And maybe there's that player that, is a little bit more fragile. You need to call him aside. Hey, come over here. Let me talk to you in your ear. And you coach him up like that, just to get him to get that intensity up. And I can't count how many times I needed that in my life with different styles.
No, I agree.
So, once you get going through the licenses, and there's pros and cons, but in the B license, one of the first things they had to do was interview each player. Kind of like how you're interviewing me right now, where you sit and you ask the questions. How do you like me to coach you up? What style of play do you like? What positions you like to play? If you're not having a good day, how you want me to talk to you? So, getting to really know your players, sitting down, and so once you get to know them and they know you, they're ready to bust down a brick wall for you, man.
Exactly.
That's the power that you have.
I think the connection,
I've noticed.
The family connection too, is really, really important. Like we said, I was going to ask you also, like, we're talking about as creative players, and Andrei, by the way, is lucky. He's the best of both worlds. He's Argentinian and Brazilian, so he has that creative bloodline going through his veins. And I don't even know how you watch those games, Argentina playing Brazil. I always visualize Andrei like fighting with himself.
Well, that's why my parents got divorced.
one of those
It's all
games.
good though. They're still.
Brazil Argentina game cause of the divorce. I like
That's right. That's right.
That's right. So I was gonna ask you, like, I had a podcast about this. One of my players asked me, "Hey Daji, why don't we see more regular type of number 10s anymore, like Zidane's and Snyder's and Maradona's? Like, why don't we see those guys anymore?" And my opinion was several different reasons. Number one, I said, I want your opinion on that too. Number one for me is the generation of Xbox, PlayStation. Our generations that created number 10s, it was a lot more street soccer. And I think the best of the number 10s are coming from streets and playing a lot of soccer and kind of looking one way, passing the other way. That's a number 10 build-up. And number two reason I feel like is the expectations of the physical soccer from a number 10 has changed. So the number 10 cannot be anymore waiting for the ball to come to him so he can do magic. And now number 10 is expected to do defending and expected to come back to help the midfield or do more, movement, because the soccer in general changed to a physical way of soccer. And honestly, it's sad because number 10 is one of the most exciting things to watch in soccer. Like a good soccer fan like myself, I can watch a 0-0 game, but just watching those number 10's creativity and what they're going to do next, and that excitement, unfortunately, we're kind of losing it. And I think it's all about the generation of, to me, those are the two big reasons, right? I don't know your opinion on it. So I just wanted to ask that while we're at that.
Yeah, I think, the games become so, driven by structure, play in this kind of box, in this system, play in this formation, stay in this formation, you get it, you knock it immediately. And so, a lot less of the street soccer, a lot more of, let's just get the result and then get back and defend. I like playing with two number 10s. A lot of times I play in a 5-3-2, 3-5-2 with, whatnot. So, I think there's some challenges. I don't think it's across the board everywhere has the same, and I think you're seeing less of the 4-4-2. And when you have that 4-4-2, you have the triangulation with the number 10 with the two strikers, and the triangulation with the outside wing and the other striker. So you have those triangles, and so you have that, those options, and so I agree. I think that 10 is going away in a way, not completely, but in some ways. So, sometimes in life, you see things come full circle. So, you see that now you got the running quarterbacks back in football, and so you see things come full circle after everybody tries different things. So I'm sure it'll come back around. It's up to us to be able to, it's up to us to be able to keep that creativity, and to make it presentable.
I feel like also, Andre, like the new number 10 is the false 9. It's becoming that guy who was the last guy when he comes back to check in and starts being a distributor. It's kind of becoming that false 9 is becoming such a big deal around the world. I don't use false 9 personally as much, unless I know that the other team is weak on the outsides. They're not defending it well, and I put two wide forwards, and I tell my center forward to be a false 9, check in, and be the distributor to the width, right? So I use that just in that scenario, but most of the time I use a poacher or a target forward as a last man. So I want to keep those center backs busy, and I don't want them to attack him with the ball. You know what I mean? I just don't want them to leave their spots. What is your as your system? Usually, what do you expect? What type of forwards do you like to have?
I actually try them all, with my teams at some point in time, just to see what might work. And it's hard to play a 4-3-3. You really have to have really good 3 forwards. The 4-2-3-1, that high forward feels like he's by himself, so that can be difficult. And being a little bit old school, again, I like the 4-4-2. Because I when I was playing as a striker, I always liked to have that striker close to me to play off of him. So those things are kind of going away now. You see the Sounders; they're able to do the 4-2-3-1, but they also have very good players in those prime roles. With Ruidía as a World Cup player, as the 9. You got Jordan Morris, should have been a World Cup player, should have been in the Bundesliga, had the offers.
I know Lodero is outstanding.
Lodero, World Cup player, and he's playing as the 10.
Yeah.
So having those type of players, you could play in that system and be successful. Obviously we don't always have that luxury. So it's a little bit of a challenge. But I think just being open and with your system, seeing what you got, and just not ever being content and not ever giving up, always constantly looking ways to tweak it and change it just a little bit, game by game, week by week, whatnot, just to see what works. Because there's always going to be a way. You always have to think positive. So
yeah, that's a good point. I was gonna add something to that thinking positive has so many different meanings in soccer. Like one thing I struggle with players. For example, I tell my player when we open the game from one side to another, I tell my number 9 to make a diagonal run to show in front of the player, and I have an answer sometimes from the player. He's like, he's not gonna pass it to me. I'm like, you still need to make that run, because you might be opening the way of the left forward. Because now I'm playing, last year we played a 3-4-3, and when number 9 makes that run, it just completely changes the shape of their defense and allows space for my number 11 or number 10. I use like 2 number 10s on the outsides pretty much. You know what I mean? So, hold on just for a second. Those runs, and sometimes you will get the ball. You can't just think like, oh, he's not going to pass me the ball. Why am I running? And I think that's I hear that a lot. And I wish that they get that positive mentality. I'm going to get that ball, or me doing this run is going to open the way of the center mid to dribble into that space, or the guy behind me. You just still got to make that run.
Yeah, it's like I referenced Johan Cruyff and his book, My Turn, where he says soccer in reality is 90% running without the ball.
Yeah.
Only 10% of the time, do you have the ball. My numbers might be off there, but that's the idea. And with a player like that, you just have to constantly be talking to him, call him, pull him aside and talk to him constantly to get him bought into what is necessary. Team chemistry is one of the biggest things, on a team. That's why the team chemistry takes teams farther,
Exactly.
So, but yeah, you need to have those guys that work relentless. Suarez, guys that just put in the work nonstop, run, and just, they understand that they're going to make all those runs that one time that, they made that run when they didn't think they're going to get it. They got it. That's just a game for you.
And they change the rhythm.
And they score the goal, and they're the hero.
Exactly. So
you're the hero.
I think we just need to change the mentality of that. And not every run is necessarily for you to get the ball. You're completely messing up and unbalance the defense every time you move. And I always tell my players when we do these live sessions, I always tell them every action needs a reaction. And every action you do also reacted by the other team too. And when I say that, I always tell them if a center mid gives the pass, that's an action. Now we need a reaction from you. You need to join the attack. And I see a lot of players. Unfortunately, like a center back passes the ball and he's like, okay, let's see what's going to happen now. I'm like, you started the attack, join. Go ahead. Somebody's going to cover it, but you need to be able to understand that perspective that you guys got to attack. So when you play the way I do sometimes, and I'm sure you play against some teams that you need to do the same. When you're playing a deep defense because you know that the forwards are too fast, you don't want to give space behind you. And that doesn't mean we can't attack. And unfortunately, a lot of players don't understand the fact that once we have the ball, you need to think offense. Like you can't, we're not there to tie the game. We just know if we're going to be that deep, we just know that the other team has some strength and we are, blocking their strength. But the moment we have the ball, now it's time for us to use the space behind them, because if we are that deep, trust me, there's a lot of space behind them now. You know what I mean?
They're pushing up, yeah.
That creates a lot more counter-attack opportunities, but you can't just leave your forwards up there alone. It's such a small chance, and I feel like a lot of players struggle with this mentality. You know what I mean? Like, should I go with the two? But now I'm gonna have to run back. Yes, you're gonna have to run back, but go. Like, think positive. You could be scoring a goal up there.
Right.
Especially on the opposite side. Like it's been a struggle with some of the players. Some players that gets it, they make a huge difference. Last year, when we were playing, Steelheads was like 6 goals scored on. We won the league, and nobody expected us to win. And one of the games that we went out of state. That's the only loss we had. We went out of state. In Washington, we were undefeated in the league. But out of state, we went to Portland. And like the first 10 minutes, Portland Timbers U23 team we played, they were packed, man. They were so good. The first 10, 15 minutes, they scored 2 goals on us. So I changed the defensive line. I talked to them a little bit. I don't want them to man mark, because that's exactly what they want. They were pulling my center backs away and opening that gap, and an outside player was coming into that. So I was like, you can't do that. And we changed the way we play. But one of the things that was so exciting the second half, when we talked about catching them off guard, I realized they were really good at sliding, but they were really good at recovering to the opposite side. So we kind of start the build up from one side, and we open the game quick to the opposite side, and we catch them off guard so many times. And we had opportunity after opportunity. We scored a goal, set play, 2-1, and then we scored another one. Referee called the goal, but AR, young guy, said it was offside, but it was a throw-in, and my guy was supposed to be offside in front of the goalie, flicked it over the goalie. You can't be offside, but he said he was. So unfortunately, they took the goal away, so we ended up losing 2-1. But I felt so excited about that, because I ended up putting my outside mids would not attack. So I put a guy who usually plays a forward or a midfielder, and I told him, the moment that we're gonna build up from one side, I want the opposite side to be ready to go. And he was an intelligent centerman. We did that and started every attack with that. And then the other outside mid realized, oh, okay, so I can do this. Yes, I've been saying that for a year. You can do this. But unfortunately, sometimes the players gotta see either the success against a really good team that could work, or they just need to see somebody doing it as an example, But it's so hard sometimes for them to see the tactical stuff. And I think this live videos I've been doing, the tactical board a lot, I think it's been really useful. When I played, we always did once a week classroom sessions. I think is critical for these players. And I have some parents asking me, well, I don't know why should we continue with this? Like, we want the kid to play. I mean, we do too, but these classroom sessions you're skipping is actually possibly more important than what we do in training sessions. Because once they get the mental part of the game, physical things is easy to teach. I mean, unless they don't have
right.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah. That's good. I mean, I think, in that situation when you go down there and you get that response, when you're down 2-0, you're getting punches thrown at you, you're against the ropes, and all of a sudden you hit back, and that's 2-1, you're in the game. And hey, you didn't win the game, but, in a way you won the game because you went down there, you competed, and you saw a reaction. And the kids, they know that, the players, they know that, the young men. And, so that's, the success is right there.
Yeah.
And, the classroom sessions are great. I'd also really add into, watching games, putting a game out there for them to watch, a full game. And then from there, adding some homework assignments. Hey, did you see that far post run made when the 9 checked to the ball? Did you see the quick counterattack? And so I think that's another tool that will get them engaged and really, because these are the players they look up to. When I just recently did Bayern Munich versus FC Hamburg, and it was 8-0. So there was a bunch of stuff, a bunch of coaching points there, and a bunch of goals for them to watch, so they don't lose interest.
Yeah.
And but you saw exactly what you're saying, where the playmaker wasn't the 10, but it was Arjen Robben, who was playing as a 7 in a 4-2-3-1, and with Lewandowski all the way high. And just so you add in those little questions by making them watch the whole game, and that, in a way, is like your classroom session. Just because now you've given them a assignment. Now they're gonna there's some X's and O's where they have to look at, and it really makes them think about the game. And that's the difference between here in Argentina, Europe, Turkey, Brazil, where how deep you get into the game. It just never leaves you. You go to a barbecue, you step out of your house, and there's games everywhere. The conversation, they look at you crazy if you don't talk soccer. You look at it, it is what it is. So that's just the culture that, me and you were trying to bring it here. Yeah. And, I think we see some advancements, but, the more that we do that, the more that those players and this country will be able to embrace what the ultimate goal is to get deep into the game.
You touch on a really good subject. Like, we need to rewind back. And the podcast I was doing about the number 10, I did mention that too. They don't watch enough soccer. Like the generation that we train, especially in America, they do not watch enough soccer. When I'm talking to a great forward, number 9, and I'm asking him, did you ever watch Brazilian Ronaldo? Did you watch Lewandowski? And he's looking at me like, who are they? I'm like, how do you even do what you do without like having an idol? Like, I think we all grow up, we always try to copy the top level players. Like, I wanted to be like Haji, I wanted to be like Zidane, I wanted to be like Figo. I wanted to be that type of player. And, and I think that's so important for them to idolize players. And one of the reasons I think the girls' soccer is better is because the girls really have idols in the U.S. national soccer team. And they have this drive to watch them become Mia Hams, become some of the, and not necessarily our boys. We do need to get them to understand they need to watch more, and they need to be paying attention to what's really happening off the ball. Like you said, I took a player, Andrei, very talented player. You remember some of my private lessons. I took one of them. You were talking about Laura the other day. She went and played in the World Cup with Colombia. And I had another player, Nick, Italian-American kid. I took him to Turkey to try out for a couple professional teams. And he spent a lot of money, and he even bought my ticket. We went there, and 5 minutes into the tryout, one of the coaches called me to the side, and he's like, he doesn't have it. And I'm like, 5 minutes, he flew here. We spent a lot of money. His family spent like $5,000. 5 minutes, he says, can I ask why? And he's like, well, he seems to be only want to do things when the ball is around him. And he's not really moving off the ball.
Right. And, we need to adapt to the soccer culture of the world. And everywhere you go in the world, in every little community, even here, there's little cultures. You create a little culture at Gala FC. There's a culture at Seattle United, which is different than the culture at Crossfire.
Yeah.
And there's a culture when you live in parts of Seattle. When there's a culture when you live in Everett, and then you live in Linwood. There's cultures everywhere. So I appreciate the fact that you're bringing that culture to your club and trying to bring that world culture. And it's so difficult because you go abroad and you go to the culture of Turkey, and they're playing a different way, and it's so what they're looking for is so specific that you go there, you're dealing with everything. Now all of a sudden 5 minutes in, and all of a sudden they've already come up with a judgment of you, and that's where United States hurts, because go to other countries, we look at the U.S. player probably don't work hard enough, probably, entitled, that's what we got to change that perception,
Exactly. I agree. One last thing, Andre, before we go, I hope that you come back again, by the way, with another subject.
We'd love to.
Ideal parent of a successful soccer player. For me, it's so important these parents to support the coaches in the car after the game, in the car after practice, and even when the player is complaining or having an excuse to not perform. It's so important. Like you were saying, I love what you said. Like one of my top parents are either like former soccer players or military. Like when you have a military father or mother and their kid comes to you, their perspective is like you need to perform and you have to take responsibility. It's you that need to do this. And worse is that I have a 17-year-old mother calling me why her son is not going to make it to practice. My expectation is he needs to call me. He needs to be responsible. And that's why I think the parents behind scenes is so important to be supportive of the coach and supportive of the kid, but not just be like, you are the greatest. When you tell the kid you're the greatest, how can we improve that kid? How can we tell them like you need to go to a place to be? You are already greatest. You are the chosen one. You're Neo from Matrix. So I can't help you. You can stop bullets with your mind.
Right.
I can't help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I was watching the draft today, the NFL draft, and so many of the players had a father that used to play professional or this or that. So how do you think they grew up and their training regimen was when they were growing up? And so that father, that mother was tough on them, and so the ideal parent, if you don't know about the game and about playing high-level sports, just allow the coach to, talk to you about what needs to be done and allow the coach to really be the coach. I had a great parent, a couple of years ago that's like, yeah, I want you in his face. That's like how he responds to it. And then I had another player tell his mom, hey, Mom, I really like this coach because I don't work hard enough unless somebody's on me pushing me. And, that's just how I respond. And, it's hard because, you don't get all those situations too often where these parents are telling you this is what we want for our child. Sometimes you have the opposite effect. And so you have to be careful with maybe the parents that didn't play sports, that don't understand it. Sometimes, you get maybe a child that is spoiled or entitled, and, you have a helicopter parent. You're going to have some tough times and some challenges getting through to that player if that parent is always there as a barrier. So,
but it's not helping me.
It's one of those things where, it's really, and it's gonna teach such bad life lessons being a helicopter parent and always bailing out your child when they're not putting in the work necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like I was watching a video by Anson Dorrance, coach at University of North Carolina, 69 years old, just a legendary coach. But he said the true showing of a champion is one that is drenched in sweat by themselves, working hard on their own when nobody's around them, and they're putting in the work by themselves.
Exactly.
So how many, we don't have, the street soccer is not here in this country, so players have to be out there working on their own. And unfortunately, too many times I'll ask a parent, how often is your child working on their own? And they'll immediately cover for their child and lie for them.
Oh, yeah.
And say, we're trying to get out there 5 days a week. Well, what does that mean? Well, we're trying. Well, he hasn't really done it, though. Well, okay, we'll just say that from the get-go. And, and let's just be honest here because, we're not trying to take...
That honesty and covering up, unfortunately, is really letting a lot of... And you and I have seen so many good talent throughout the last 20 years, and some of them slip away because of the false statements from people. You're great now. Like at 14 years old, if the kid is the greatest, then you can improve. And trust me, if your kid is Messi good, you would have been picked up already. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Messi was picked up when he was 8 years old. Like,
Yeah.
they knew about Messi when he was 8 years old. So, you know, it's important that, you know, I think they just need to, you know, be an unbiased person to be the support system of that. But obviously, there are coaches out there just negative. And when people look at me and my players, if you ask my players, majority of them that has been with me more than 6 months, some of them cannot survive 6 months for sure. But yeah, after 6 months, they will tell you, Daji just tells me the truth, but he supports me. He wants me to be better, and this and that. Like, I'd rather be that guy than telling a kid he's amazing. Like, some of the clubs that I used to work for, they literally want you to do that so you can keep the parents happy, and you can take their money. And
Right,
you know,
right.
and I don't like that. I think that's one of the failures of the system as well, because we need to make sure that we are helping them by telling them exactly what they need to improve as well as what they do well. I do try to be positive to the things that they do well, and I want to tell them that they earn that, you know, from me. And anything positive, they earned it from me. So I think it's important that you neutralize one another, but it's important that they support you. Like, you and I seen, like, we worked in a high school together, like, parents just destroy the program.
Right.
You know, because they
It's
want
usually one or two ringleader parents that try to get everybody else together because their son's not playing or whatever.
yeah. And there are good parents that are supportive of the coach, and that
Absolutely.
those are usually the most successful teams I coach. The parents that, hey, let's, you know, support the coach. If you guys gonna be doing that, leave it, take it somewhere else, not in this team. Those are the parents that supports us. It brings success dramatically to the team, because
Right.
like, if you don't have the respect of the parents, you don't have the respect of that player. Sooner or later, you're gonna lose it. Even if you're doing a great job as a coach, if they are always complaining about you, what is the kid gonna do? You know, they're gonna listen to their parents. Even though parents don't think their kids listen, they do. They really do. And
Oh, yeah.
they get affected by it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's like Brian Schmetzer said, you know, a lot of times just listen to the parents. Maybe you just go have a cup of coffee and you listen to them. Doesn't mean you're going to change anything, but you can listen to them in the right moment and let them talk and vent, you know, and you know, and you know, they said their side, and now you can go ahead and lay things out, you know. But you know, unfortunately here, you know, you have to kind of sometimes sugarcoat things. You know, if a kid had a bad game, you know, maybe after the game, hey man, good job, man, you know. And then later on in training, you can kind of really get into the nuts and bolts of what went wrong.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a tough thing because, again, the culture, where you know people want things instantly instead of working for them.
Yeah.
You know, they want it right now, and you know.
But you and I
because,
know
they-
the most successful ones goes the furthest is the ones to be, they're craving that criticism. They are craving that. I
Right.
got players that got mad at me for being nice to them. Taji,
Yeah.
you need to push me. I want you to yell at me. I want you to do this. And those are the guys who's playing D1, who's playing professional MLS, who went to Europe to play. Like, it's a huge mentality difference. I'm not saying all of them,
Oh, yeah.
but majority of the success is always that craving for that. I want to get better. I am not satisfied with who I am. And you and I are the same, like as a coach too. We want to improve ourselves. We want to learn new systems. We want to better ourselves. And I don't think I can call myself the best coach when I'm not even the best coach of my version yet. You need to, you know, better yourself every
Right.
year, right? Like, I think that's an attitude that I just wish that, and it's such a good life lesson, like you said. Like, it's not just soccer. Like, you just cannot be expecting things to be given to you as your parents do for you. We need to give them. I told my players at the age 13, 14, I want them to call me, message me, them, not their parents. I do not want to hear from mom, dad, if they're not going to make a practice, if they're going to be late. I want you to take responsibility to message me and the team why you're not going to be there, why you're going to be late, why you're going to miss a game. You, not your parents.
Well, And that's gonna give you an indication of who your captains are gonna be. That's
Exactly.
gonna give you an indication of who your go-to player is gonna be during the course of the season, right?
Yep.
So those are the guys, when you need to talk to them to get the team more concentrated, those are the guys you can turn to.
Exactly.
You know, so it's not going to surprise you when those players that do that have success later on in their life, whatever they do, because they're mature.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean,
you know, we just have to continue to change the culture, you know, and these kids have to continue to understand that, you know, you got to get deep in the game. You have to work every single second possible to get better. I just had a friend of mine, Abdullah, who had, you know, all of his kids got scholarships, and one of them was in Minnesota United. And I used to coach him a little bit. And I asked him, you know, why are your kids so much better? Why are they so good? He's like, man, we spend 5 hours a day, you know, in our living room, in our basement, and we just play soccer on the rug. We put everything away, and we just play. That's the kind of street soccer that he brings to his home. And so if I can get through to these kids, man, to be able to play street soccer in your backyard as much as possible, man. Just work on touching the ball, loving the ball, moving with the ball, this and that. You know, the games, being the technical part of the game is never going to go away. And that's always going to be able to give you an opportunity going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was great. Like I said, that it's so important that we change the mentality of the players, parents, and I hope that some of them give the right mentality. I hope that some of them, they listen to this and they're gonna at least give it a try. You know, I mean, you're an accomplished coach. You achieved a lot in the state, and I have done it too. And we all know it's much better with the help of those people. I mean, honestly, I always say this. I won Coach of the Year a couple times in Washington State, but I can only be the best coach for the right players. And some teams I coach,
right.
I was the worst coach for them because it's not my type of players, or we did not get along. So I think it's important that you understand as a coach too, you know, you could be the greatest coach. It doesn't exist. You just need to really improve yourself, but with the right players. Like, you know, we have two different teams, and I love your style. You know, you respect my style, and with the right players, I could destroy you. With the right players you have, you could destroy me. And it's that now you're the champion, you're the best coach, and I do the same. I'm the best coach. But bottom line is, it's all about the players' attitudes. It's all about how they fit into your system,
right? How
they respond to you, and how the parents respond to you. You know, all these, you know, parents that trying to, kind of have an agenda about how to better individual things. What they don't understand is if the team is successful, your kid is getting better too. And if the player beside you, instead of, you know, focusing on A, B player, focus on your child and make sure that you can communicate. Like you said, I'm always open for parents to call me. I'm a director too, so I get phone calls all the time. They need to just, you know, hear us out and listen to us from the professional perspective. I've been doing this for 21 years. Obviously, I might have a couple, you know, tricks under my sleeve, like, so do you. Like, you know, we just need them to really be supportive of us. You know, that's the bottom line. I think the whole thing, we both agree on that one, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And, you know, finding that right player for your program, you know, and players knowing that, you know, that if they continue with their development and keep on working hard, you know, there's going to be opportunities for them. That's why Pete Carroll from the Seahawks had 300 transactions his first year, and he incorporated a very bad team. And in his first year, he did the 300 transactions, finding the right players and winning the division championship. And then 2 years later, winning, you know, 3 years later, winning the Super Bowl. So, you know, you have to keep on searching for it. Us as coaches, you got to keep searching for it as players. And, you know, find the coaches that have success, like yourself. You know, find the coaches that, hey, this is a successful coach. I got to let him do his thing. And, you know, we have to be all in. because if you're not all in as a parent and as a player, there's going to be problems. And later on, it's going to be difficult for you to adapt to life's next challenge.
Yeah.
And so, better now than later.
Exactly.
And another big thing that Coach Anson Dorrance said is stop trying to hop clubs around. Stop going from club to club thinking that this is the best thing to do for my child. That's not going to work. Find the right coach for your child that's going to care for your kid and push your kid along, and that your kid is growing under that coach. And he can play there for as long as possible. Soccer is a long road to get to the top, but you can get there, but it is never a straight shot.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Andre. This is great. I hope that you come back. We do another subject, and I would like you to come to my podcast too. Dude, you're awesome, and I hope that maybe we can bring you a couple training sessions if your club allows you. That'll be great. Some time for Gala players too.
I would love to.
All right, thanks, bud. See ya.
All right, brother. Take care, man. Good to see you.
You too, man.
Bye.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I just wanted, before we go to the next section, I just wanted you guys to share with me some of your thoughts, and also please let me know if you have any questions about this. This is a lot of good information. As you know, we went over the attacking principles. What does a forward look like for me, for him? How does the attack look like for us? It's a lot of good information, and we talked about the soccer players, what they need to be looking for, how hard they need to be working, and successful soccer players, how the parents and the support system around should be behaving and acting and to support that player. So if you have any questions or any comments, please do it now before we go to the next section with my little cute mask on with the corona coaching and training sessions. We're going to be going into that video soon. So I just want to give a couple minutes for your questions and comments. Christina, we might. I mean, honestly, there is a lot of common things that we talk about. Of course, coach to coach, there are some different opinions. There are ideas that was shared today we might be able to try, especially your coaches watching this too. They might be able to try some of this stuff. Not everything has a right or wrong answer, right? Like, you just need to make sure that, we try all the stuff that is in front of us, and with different players requires different type of training as well. Yeah, Gilberto, that's true too. I mean, when I was chosen to my professional team, I felt like, there was players better than my skill level, but I was listening to the coach, I was working hard, and I did exactly what he wanted me to do. And out of 400 people, only 4 or 5 of us made the team, the professional team, and I didn't think, I will be in the top 10, but I ended up being one of the 4 or 5 players. It's important that you fit into their system, to their ideas, and you're physically fit and ready to go and willing to fight for the coach as well. All right, guys. I'm going to be showing some of the videos. We're going to be posting these in Instagram and Gala YouTube page. We'll have it. I want you guys to seriously start doing these workouts. These are just, first one is just about passing. The second one is about some of the drills with 3 cones. And I think it's going to be really useful for you guys. So please pay attention to this.
Hey guys, this is ZAHAJKO again. So, a couple workouts you can do if you have a wall like this. Can you show the wall? Show the wall, please. Right in front of me, right here. So you want to make sure that you have a wall that it can be a steady wall that when you hit the ball is going to come back right at you, right? So, a couple workouts that we're going to do is just one-time pass and control. Now, I want you guys to look at this style. It's called the Beckenbauer style. So when you hit your heel to the ground, toe up, and you're going to keep your ankle steady. When you pass the ball like this, ankle, everything inside shoulder, everything steady towards the target. So when I hit the ball, it's steady. The ball comes, I hit the ball, it's steady. Right? So what we're going to do is not one touch right now. You can do that later. We're going to work on the control. I want you guys to look at this. I hit the ball is coming. Look, I hit my heel to the ground again to control. It kind of spins and stops. So, ball comes, it's coming to me, I do this. The ball's coming, I do this. The ball's coming, I do this. The ball's coming, I do this. So that's a good workout just to work on your first touch. And second level of what you can do is this. You can hit the ball harder, watch this. Hit the ball harder. And again. Hit the ball harder. And again. Hit the ball harder. And again. So that's the second level. Now after that, you're going to go to one touch. Comes back. One touch. Comes back. Left foot, right foot. Hit your heel to the ground. One touch. Comes back. Comes back. Comes back. Comes back. Hit your heel. Comes back. Comes back. Hit your heel. Steady hit every time. Wait for the moment it's going to bounce. Last part, you're going to be working on sliding your heel just a little bit when you're hitting your heel to the ground. Now you're going to be working on doing a spin. Watch. Ball's coming. It's spinning. You see that? Ball's coming. It's spinning. Ball's coming. It's spinning. Right? So you want to make sure you slide your heel and you want to spin a little bit. Thanks, guys.
All right, any question about that one? For this one, it requires the next one. It requires you guys to have 3 cones. If you have, you can use something else. You don't have to have cones if you don't have cones, but you can use it. Any like small shoes, bottles you can use, whatever you can use at home. But if you have cones, that'd be great. All you need is 3 cones for this drills. First part is a midfield workout. Yeah, make sure you pay attention to when every time I hit my heel to the ground, my toe is up and my ankle is locked. It's not moving. My toes is not moving towards my the ball I'm kicking. It's steady like a tennis racket. It's steady and open, right? It's inside of my foot. It's critical that you get used to that movement, and you'll be making a lot less mistakes with your passing. All right, guys. This one is important for center mids especially, but anywhere in the field is a good workout for your touches, especially when you're in trouble. Cut it back and properly move it away from the pressure.
Hey guys, so we're gonna do a workout. If you can see the triangle, cone here, cone there, cone there. So this is the triangle right here, right? So what we're gonna do is a simple workout. Dribble outside your foot as quick as you can to the cone. You're going to cut it back inside your foot, behind your back. When you get to here right away, you're going to cut it back again. Now we're dribbling forward. You're going to do any move you want and beat the player. Any move you want. And now you're going to come back here. Do the same movement outside your foot. Dribble. When you get to here, again, inside of your foot, cut it back. Okay, behind you. Inside of your foot, cut it back. Dribble here. Any move you want. And then going back to here, okay? It's all about touches in a short area, how quickly you can dribble it, and how impressive you can be with this.
All right, guys. And then this is a good one. Iniesta, we always talk about this. This is one of the best center mid movement, but also it can work anywhere in the field.
All right, guys. Second part is the Iniesta and Xavi movement. So what we do here, we dribble, we kind of push it to the side this way, we're not going to go that way, touch it to the side. You see that movement. So we're going to go here, we're going to go that way, we're going to step right foot and cut it with your left to the opposite side. Then we're going to go forward, we're going to be changing the direction, your foot is one way, and touch to the other side, and you're good to go. Again. You're going to dribble, put the ball to the right side a little bit first, this way. Step your left foot like you're going to run that way. Come back and touch the ball this way. You just beat the player to the opposite side. Then you're going this way. This time you're going to put the ball to the left side of the cone. Right step down and touch it this way. And grab the ball and going this way. What do we do here? Now come out this right, you come out this left. We change direction and we are good to go.
All right, guys. Any questions about any of these movements? Like I said, they're going to be posted in Instagram tonight, but they're already in our Facebook page. Any questions? That's the Snohomish Steelheads new jackets, by the way. If you go to their website, you can order one if you like them. Yeah, it looks simple. I know this looks simple, but Iniesta move is actually not that easy to do if you do it fast enough. So I agree. So it's definitely a good drill. This is interesting. This is the first time I'm going to be doing this, guys. I actually made this Galatasaray team in FIFA. I play our system, and I wanted to show you guys an ideal attack, even though this one specifically is not a goal, but right mid to center mid, how we open the game and how quickly we go from right side started to the left, left to right, but how we make it work using the number 9 on the way too. Okay, I want you guys to watch this. Center mid, opens the game left, left forward gets it, center forward, look at this, center forward pulls it away, and right away to the other side. Unfortunately, they did a good defense in here, but what I really want to see is this. So from right side to center mid, okay, I would even make this guy a little bit deeper, but that's fine. He opened the game wide, pass, shows up between the two players, he turns to the opposite side, he opens the game quick, it catches him off guard. Okay, this is one of the good attacks. If you guys can actually have an organized attack like this, that's exactly what we want to see. It's a good counter attack from one way to another, but the forward's first perspective is there's a better touch than that. That's a risky touch, it's a pretty touch. But, you know, we talk about that touches before, but bottom line is the idea is we're trying to open the game quickly to the opposite side. In this one, I want you guys to see the build up from the back. They're playing at 3-4-3 like you guys play. And there is exactly square pass is okay if there is no pressure in front of them. Through ball. See, like I'll rewind this back a little bit again. He shows up, the center mid shows up between the two players. He gets it. This is a little bit of a risky pass, but he opens the game. Opens it between two players. All right, this is the thing. When we get our left forward gets the ball, our left mid will be like, I'm worried about defense. I would never attack, but left midfielder should think offense the moment the ball goes up here. Look, the attack starts from the left midfielder, left back out almost, and he's working with the left forward right here. He passes the ball, he's using the space, and the forward is sliding into the blind spot. All right, so this is, I really like this right around here. I want you guys to pay attention now. The center forward, obviously, I couldn't control him when I'm controlling this guy, because if I was controlling him, I would have been already here. Because I needed to be deeper, right? We don't play. Unfortunately, Falcao is usually, now that older age too, he can't run as much. So, you know, he's trying to be playing a little bit of a false 9 style. But in reality, we would have him right here, right? But I want you guys to watch the center back right here. And how a good forward, instead of showing himself in front of the forward defender, he slowly slides behind to a blind spot of the center back. Look at this. He's going straight for now. And right there, he goes to the blind spot. Now the defender is not aware where the player is. That's exactly the perfect spot to go in there. And beautiful volley. And Falcao scores the goal. Involvement of the left mid. That was not the left forward that brought the ball. The left midfielder actually bring the ball. Okay, so left, look at this right here again. They open the game. Look at this. Always the perspective. I'm playing this, right? I'm playing this because I'm going to play like we do. how quickly from one side, because if the attack is here, look at how many whites are on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and maybe more up there, right? But if you open the game quick enough, there's only 3 players left on this side. That's why you gotta open the game quick, right? And that's exactly what we do in here. We open the game, we show the left forward. Now, when the ball is going to the left forward, left mid is already making a run. He knows that he might get this ball, and he does. And that's the guy actually brings the ball to the goal, and the forward slides into the blind spot. He's smart, and he finishes the goal. Most of our center forwards would have been right here somewhere, asking for, well, drop the ball, when he can score a goal right there, right? I see this a lot, unfortunately. All right. So this is the perspective of a diagonal run, a great diagonal run. I want you guys to watch this. Now, the center forward gets the ball, and he's being one-on-one defended by this guy. And first, the outside forward making a run that way. Then he realizes that he could open the way of the forward if he makes a diagonal run there, or he can get the ball himself. I want you to pay attention to this player right here. Okay, again, diagonal run to opposite side, completely messes up the defense's line, and he scores the goal. I might be using the FIFA. I want your opinion. If you guys want me to use some of the FIFA for some of the different situations that you guys want to see, I can do it. I just need to pick some of the versions that could fit our system and what we are going through. I want you guys to put an input before we move on to the last part. Anything you guys want to add to this? Did you like those? Exactly. Every diagonal run, Jeff, messes up the defense's balance. Every diagonal run. Diagonal runs are the worst thing can happen to any defense, because it's the hardest thing to defend. Should I go with the guy, or should I stay in central? Because if I don't go with the guy, he might get the ball. If I go with him, I might be opening the space. But bottom line is, I am messing up your balance. I wanted to show you one more thing. A situation that could happen. So this player does not see a lot of options. There's no through balls. And he sees that this guy's making a run. This guy is checking in, and he's not open. He's being a lazy bum. But there's a space right here. When we always say to the players, when you don't have options and you're getting pressure, let's just say there's an extra player coming from here. He's coming back, you know, or there's a player right here. He's really doesn't have an option, but he's facing this way. And sometimes it's a good idea to make the ball go that way. And I love that, by the way. If this guy's making a diagonal run, now we're going to be talking about some of the roles changing. We kind of talked about that defensively, how roles change, right? So this is number 9, our center forward. He makes a diagonal run to here to get this ball. Okay? Now we're going to be changing everybody's, that this guy is the closest one to him. These guys are going to be going back. This guy is going to be going back. He's going to be going compact. At least one of them will come here and, you know, coming back to this gap. Now, the moment that number 9 makes a diagonal run behind the defensive line, number 9 now is our right forward. It has to become number 9. Goes to the blind spot of the player, even here if he needs to, but right now this is good. And outside forward is still number 11 or 10 on the outside. He's still the outside forward left. He comes to the back post. Now this is where the things a little bit gonna change, right? So this guy can be waiting for the drop, okay? And center mid, one of them can step to this gap right here, and the other one right here, and this guy stepping into this gap, okay? So there's a couple things that could happen now. Depends on the situation, okay? So if there is no option, like this guy is way back, and this guy feels like there's a space right here, he could have a shot, outside mid can become the center mid right there. Okay, because he sees that there's an opportunity, he can go to goal right away. And if this guy beats the guy and he's going like really fast and he gives this gap to this guy, why not go to goal, right? But we always say that somebody has to be the deep drop. So in this situation, outside mid became a center mid. That means the center mid needs to become the outside mid to give him a drop right here. And look, the same shape, exact same shape. So now let's look at the numbers. This was our center forward number 9. Now he's playing here. Right forward comes to his number 9. Left forward still there because he doesn't need to switch with anybody. This was our right mid. He snaked in right here, become the center mid, and our center mid became him. But vice versa, this could be the outside mid still, and we still want the D mid to come in here to this gap to give that option up here. Look, player behavior can change the rest of the players, but we just need to make sure we cover each other. Another thing that could happen, they're going deep. We're like super packed and marking like super packed, but there is an option right here that could be a shot. So now the player on the left mid is making a diagonal run here, and he becomes the center mid outside the box. That means that one center mid needs to cover here, and the other center mid needs to be defensive. And if we are about to pass it to here, obviously this guy needs to be the other center mid as well, coming back here. Does that make sense? So we can be changing situations, depends on the player behavior, but we need to make sure we cover those angles every time. Does that make sense? Everything is situational, really. Like every behavior can change the way that you can shape. But the most important thing, you just need to make sure you guys cover each other. Okay, it's very, very important that you do that. So we are ready for the next play. So why do we have this guy right here? Because if we pass this ball and he shoots it and it bounces out, and now you have another cross chance, another chance right here. But if he's not here, he's waiting right here, being lazy. This guy comes here, he takes the shot, and this guy blocks him. My bad, I grabbed the ball. And now maybe this guy checks in. Now they have a lot of space to move into. We got to cover every angle, so we need to take each other's jobs. Does that make sense? Yes, this is hard. I understand some parents message me, Daji, some of the things are seem to be too hard. Yes, but this is where the learning starts. I want you, these videos are going to be with us, guys. We're going to be saving these. We're going to put it in YouTube. You can always go back, and as you improve yourself, you should always go back and watch these videos, and so you can try the next level thing. And then after that, the next level thing. Because every time you watch these videos, you're going to be learning something new. I'm telling you, I can guarantee it. Guys, thanks for tonight. I appreciate you guys coming in, and I hope this was a useful one. I try to keep it short after a long interview, but I thought that interview was helpful. In the future, I will do more interviews with other different perspectives, but very good coaches that I know. They respect me a lot, and they will help me. And by the way, they are also using these videos for their teams, their players, because now their players are hearing from me, my perspectives, my coaching. So I think it's important that you guys pay attention to these. Thank you again, guys. I appreciate you. Please go back and watch all the videos we have, and do the training videos. We'll be in the fields soon.